Herman,
Here.
Mattsdorf,
Here.
Gilson, Hildebrand,
Here.
Penquitz,
Here.
Bender,
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
We have a quorum for Committee of the Whole. Thank you. Next item is the approval of the minutes from January 28th, 2025.
Motion to approve. Second motion to approve.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 3, discussion and possible recommendation of tornado sirens. Tonight, we have Matt to give us a little bit of information on this. And Matt, it's all yours.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon or evening. So today I come to you, as you probably couldn't tell by the way I'm dressed, but I'm coming to you as the Assistant Director of Public Safety. And I'd just like to have a discussion with you about the warning siren system, also known as the tornado siren system they implement here. So currently within the city, we have 5 locations where we do have these warning systems. We have the Douglas Drive, Pilgrim Road, City Hall, by the ambulance service, and we have one over on Sunset Drive, up by Quickiac Sports Complex. The reason why we come to you today is the siren that's been up by the Quickiac Sports Complex has been inoperable since 2017. We would like to make a recommendation to the committee that get fixed and become operational again. We'd like to have all 5 of them working, just not 4 of the 5. We did get some estimates. I did provide those in the packet. I did get some new estimates though late Tuesday. I can give you those estimates if you'd like. So there's 2 options. When the company, American Signal, looked at the site on the Sunset about 1.5 years ago, to be honest with you, it looked like a bird's nest in there. It was pretty gutted and there wasn't much in there. The first option that they gave us would be to just try and fix all the controls that are in that site. But they did note on the top of the quote here that this may not solve the issue, as a new head may also need to be replaced. The option for just trying to replace all the controls comes to $10,613, with 5% of that, with 25% being due at the time that we were to place the order. If the entire signal would have to be replaced and rebuilt, that comes out to $23,717. Also, 25% of that would need to be paid upon the order. So, as Assistant Director of Public Safety, the recommendation that I would like to make to the committee is that we fix that and get that operational again. Again, if you're not really familiar with where it is directly across from the large outdoor sports complex. And again, as a police department, when we're aware of bad weather that comes in, if we're not busy, we do scramble. We try to get to all the parks because we know there's a lot of baseball games and softball games that takes place. And we try and make an announcement to somebody to let them know that, we have bad weather coming in, you have about 30 minutes. If we're busy, we're not able to do that. We think that having all the warning signals operating would be a huge benefit to the community. So we'd like to make that recommendation that we get that up and operating again. And from my understanding, this was not a budgeted item for the public safety director position this past year, but I've been told that there is money available to have this fixed.
Correct. I would just add, Deputy Chief Starker, that we did have a county trail project that the city was originally budgeted for, is now not going to have to contribute to that project. So we do have some additional funding available in the capital fund for this project.
Thank you. The last time we reviewed this, it was, I'm going to say, let's see if we can buy some time and see what happens out there. Do you get the sense from going to the parks and, if and when you have to do that, is there a public interest in having those alarms sound off? Do you
Yeah.
get any trend?
Right, so I understand technology has come a long ways in the past, so many years. But if you have bad weather, sometimes cell service doesn't work, so people aren't able to, get the alerts on their phones. They're not able to pull up their radars on their cell phones. So, yeah, the community is appreciative that we do our best to try and get to all the ball diamonds, to let them know. The pool could be open, that's another issue. So, yeah, they're appreciative of it.
Mr.
Great.
Mayor, if I
You have
may,
a question?
the
Go ahead,
proximity
Chief.
to Quick Sporting Complex, the city pool, the trails along Route 23 there, those are all areas where people exercise, and frequently I know a lot of people don't carry their phones necessarily with them when they're exercising, playing sports, things of that nature. That's one of our chief concerns with this particular location, is that if you're playing softball, let's say at Quickiac or something like that, will you actually have your phone on you? Will you have muted it maybe because you don't want to hear it go off, things of that nature, where people may not be aware. And hopefully they would all work together, hopefully somebody is still using their phone, but again, these sirens do serve a unique purpose in that regards. And so we just wanted council's input as to whether or not we are maintaining these systems. And if we're not maintaining these systems, at what point do you want us to stop paying the maintenance on them and actually turn the system off?
Great.
I think there was only three of us during that conversation with Brian Jurgis as well, but my understanding of it was we were gonna let them die and replace them with new as they died. Because the parts were not getting available. They belong in the Plymouth Utilities Museum, they're that old. So I would say we go with new rather than try to keep these antiques up,
Are you talking to replace all five?
Well, as they die.
As they die, right, yeah, okay.
So we,
It-
last year, we did have expenses related to maintenance. I know the sirens went off a couple times in town when they weren't scheduled to go off, and people reported that to us. There were concerns regarding why they were going off. The maintenance costs, so we budget $6,000 a year towards this purpose. And last year, we did exceed the $6,000 just on maintenance. So it is becoming more expensive, but if we don't maintain what we have, replacement is, the most recent quote, I believe, was $23,000 to replace the entire siren. So we
Just
need
one
to-
siren.
The one that is currently not operational, we just got an updated quote after the agenda was set for this meeting. The updated quote, I believe, is $23,000 and change.
$23,717.
That's for a full replacement of the current siren that we're talking about this evening.
Greg, follow up?
Yeah, I don't think that's any different in price compared to like updating your department or updating what we did for the fire department. That was $250,000, I mean, it's just a matter of fact for Plymouth, Wisconsin, that it's time to get rid of the antiques and go on,
Yeah, and another concern is, though it's not located in the city, though, there is the campground that is just to the north of Sargento.
And we are responsible for that.
Well,
Well,
We have the
Not on-
closest
not on
siren.
the
yeah,
city.
we have the closest siren for it.
yeah.
And again, we do try and make our rounds for there too, when there's weather coming in.
Is it possible to have one new one work on the same control mechanism as the other four that are existing? Going back to maybe the thought of replace them as
Yeah, I think
they,
that is what
as
Deputy
they
Chief Starker
die?
Yeah,
is
so
recommending.
if we were to move ahead and replace the one on Sunset, it would still work with the four that we currently have.
Okay,
It's the same
that's a big
system.
thing, because we don't want to start trying to do two different things.
Yep.
So, Angie, you had a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, is this the only place to get a quote from? Like, are
We
there
could probably
other?
get more quotes. This is the company that we've been using. I mean, for as long as I've been dealing with them, this is American Signal's been the company that we've been using. So they would have all of our records and everything. If we went through a different company, we'd probably have to start over with them.
And then for Tim, there's money in the budget because that other thing didn't go through.
Correct.
For both replacement and
Yeah, so that,
repair?
there would be enough for either the $12,000 or the $23,000 option. I think we can certainly get another quote moving forward. I think tonight we have just one quote because it's a recommendation, and then we'll kind of go back and do our due diligence on the project.
I have a question of the council members. Is it our desire to work toward replacement eventually? Is that where we want to go?
I think so.
And
Even at-
have
even at
new
this point.
rather than repair?
I would think as the city's gonna continue to grow, hopefully, and we bring in more manufacturing and residential, I think that would probably be the best. You know, we may need to add another location at some point in time.
Exactly, and, I mean, if you can get a price break by doing 5 instead of 1, okay. Recommendation is to put new on it, not replace?
Correct. From speaking to the company representative and them looking at it, it looks like it's gonna need to be a complete replacement.
How does the council feel right now about going along with the recommendation for 1 new replacement at this point, so we get the ball rolling? And then, whether it's that company or another company, to see what 5 replacements would be, getting a second bid.
Sure, and I think before, one replacement would be no problem. Before we want to move forward with, 5, I would need to take a further
Right,
dive into the
yeah.
project for sure.
And there's no sense to replace 1 and then have 4 other ones a different model
Right.
per se. So, we can pursue the 1 replacement, get another bid to compare on that, with the ultimate goal to have a 5 replacement identical system.
Yep.
Is that reasonable for council?
That sounds good.
Yeah.
question.
Go ahead, Jeff.
When they come up and do our maintenance on those sirens, are they giving you
That's, yeah.
down the line potential, how long will this siren last before we have to put more money into it, or what's the status of the other 4? If there is a status that the,
So the status, so I can tell you that the one that's behind Plymouth Ambulance, we stuck $3,000 into that one last year after a malfunction. That one should be good for quite a while. The company does offer a maintenance package, I guess, where they will come on out every so many months, they check the batteries, they check the wiring, and all that kind of stuff. Keep in mind, the company charges is $90 an hour.
they're not
too.
cheap.
No, so, like, I checked the system today, everything is good to go on all the other 4 systems. Just that this is the major one, but I can get some quotes on, maintenance schedules and all that.
Mike?
And I don't know how long these sirens, they've been here as long as I've been here, it's been 24 years, I can just imagine how long they've been here.
Yeah.
Do you have to have so many sirens per capita?
I don't know.
No, they have a radius that they actually provide
Okay,
reasonable warning to,
Yeah,
which as the city would grow, that's where we have to discuss how far are we outside those expected radiuses, and can we, or do we need to add one? The other thing I'll say is, on the maintenance issue, if the company comes out and does maintenance, that doesn't guarantee that they're gonna cover any broken parts. Certain parts we will have to pay for even though we have a maintenance contract. They'll come out and check them, but if they find something damaged or broken, we're still gonna pay the majority of the repair as far as replacing those parts. So the maintenance contract just means a technician is coming out and doing regular maintenance on them as opposed to us finding out when a siren's not working.
Okay. I think what I'm hearing from the council is to go ahead with the recommendation for a replacement, but to try and see what the full replacement would come to. And right now, we could advance this to council for decision, with the final decision to be on how that final package comes in and a total cost, and whether or not, if there aren't 5 available, doesn't mean we can't get 2 a year and work toward it, but you gotta look at a budget item too.
Yeah, I think tonight we're looking for a recommendation to move forward with a recommendation from the police department.
How do we feel about that? Okay, recommendation.
Dave Augustine.
Would I be allowed to speak?
He does have some.
Yeah, yes, I think I'll allow it, Dave, because you're our IT person. Thank you.
Thank you. One thing you're going to want to consider, as Matt and yourself mentioned, the control mechanism, if you go with a different company, are you going to look for the same type and brand of equipment, or is it going to be a different brand? Because then you're looking at possibly two different technologies that we have to then bring up and transition over. So I put that as far as the criteria, how you want to handle that, just so you got a pair with the four, and then you got an Apple with this one, and they don't talk to each other. We can't control them with the same
Yeah.
box.
I-
Keep
I-
it in sync, and I also would recommend too, is if it's in the budget, put up a schedule, just like Kathy had about the lead lines. Put maybe budget to replace one every year, every other year, that way, you're done, you're good, you got a modern system. So that's just my.
Yeah,
point
and
from a
I think that's a
technology
good recommendation to coordinate that, Matt, with the research that you're doing, and then Dave could review that and make sure that we got apples and apples working together. Eventually, I think to replace the 5 is what makes sense. I mean,
Yeah, so we have a yearly, we update our
Yeah.
10-year capital improvement plan, so we will work on facilitating that. as part of the
okay,
program.
everybody okay with that?
Definitely.
Okay, recommendation is so made, and thank you, everybody, thank you, Matt, for the report. We don't want anything to go wrong in the meantime, certainly. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second motion to adjourn.
We have a first and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes.